Well, welcome back to our 200 drawing prompt book. Today we're up to drawing prompt 157, which is dartboard. This is the drawing we came up with a dartboard up in the upper right hand corner with Memphis throwing a dart at it. Probably going to be a bullseye. So if you want to see how we drew it, stay tuned, because that's what we're going to do next. Well, I know you've seen the finished drawing. I wish I have, because I've been trying to figure out what to draw. What I've kind of decided to do is try to put, we've got to draw a dartboard, because that's the assignment. Now we've already drawn a dartboard, so we want to change it up a little bit. So I'm thinking about putting my dartboard up in this upper right hand corner, and then put Memphis right over in here. Throwing a dart. And we'll actually draw the dart in, maybe. Okay, that's what I'm thinking about doing. We got Memphis here, throwing his dart, and dartboard over here. Let me, problem is that drawing this dartboard so small like this, it's doable. I got a drawing of a dartboard here. These, you know, it's got three. It's got the outer ring and the inner ring and the bullseye, and it's divided up into these 20 sections. You know, in these 18 degree slices. But when you reduce it down to this small, it becomes interesting. But let's stop complaining and get to work. All I do is complain. Well, I'm just sort of disappointed that I don't have, you know, that I don't have a better imagination. You know, I bet there's people that have done this assignment and they figured out something unique to do, but not me. Okay, that's the, well, let's do this, this is the outer ring. Okay, that, that ring, the outer ring, you get, if you hit it in there, you get like double points. And if you hit this inner ring, you get triple points. That's the reason you always see guys shooting for the, you know, you see them and they're not aiming for the bullseye, you know, they're aiming for the 20. They're actually aiming for this place right here. Okay, now I got to figure out how to divide this thing up into 20 slices. I should have studied in school. Okay, to figure out the circumference of something, you just multiply the formula is 2 pi r. But all that means is you multiply the diameter of the circle times 3.14, and that comes out to 138. And divide that, because you want to divide it up into 20s, into 20 sections. So that comes out to 6.9. And I did that in millimeters so I could have some fine grainage. So I set my little compass here. I want the first one to start right about there. So I'll just go around this circle and see if this scheme works. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I figure I can take my straight edge and go through these lines all the way around. It worked, by the way. Sort of. I mean, it worked. Okay, the lines, I'm going to run the lines from the where I marked it off through the center, but I'm going to stop at the bullseye ring. When I was looking for an example of what a dartboard looks like, I ran across the rules. You know, every sport has rules, and kind of a unique scoring system where you start out with, at least in one kind of game, I don't know, there's probably other games, but you start out with points, and then every time you score, you start out actually on an odd number of points: 301, 501, 701, but anyway, they all end with 1. And every time you score, you actually subtract points from your score, and the first one to 0 wins. And what complicates it, I guess, is that you have to get down to exactly 0. If you throw 3 darts at a time, and on your throw, if you go over, it's called busting. You bust, and you don't automatically lose the game. Your turn is just over. And you know, say you needed 12 points, and you bust, you go back to just needing 12 points. Apparently they have dart tournaments, championships. You couldn't do it anymore, I don't think, but, you know, when I was a kid, you know, kids actually got darts and dartboards for Christmas. They'd probably call it child abuse now. Well, let me finish this outline of this board. Now, I didn't read up on, you know, exactly the specs of these dartboards, but apparently they're pretty variable, and probably not size-wise. Probably there's some rules about the size and the spacing of the lines and all that stuff, but they are kind of variable. And that's important because I think I'm gonna put the numbers in black. On our example here, see the numbers are in white, but that's kind of hard to do in pencil. Let me show you our other dartboard. Let's go through memory lane. Where in the heck is it? I know we looked at it yesterday. There it is. You can see on this dartboard we did at prompt 53. You know, I had to outline these numbers and then fill it in with black, and I don't think they came out very well. So I think I'm going to put ours in black. That's what I'm thinking right now anyway, because this is really small, and you know, there'd just be a scribbled mess. And when these guys throw this, their hands are they kind of stick their fingers out, and the hand kind of looks like that. You know, they fling them out like that. So I'm going to make my hand look like I'm a real dart person. So there's the first finger. It's straight. And the second finger, it's straight also. Just don't leave out a finger like we did yesterday. Okay, that's probably as good as we're going to get it. And that's how it goes. I can't think of anything creative, so I just draw Memphis. Now let's draw a dart. Okay, draw the body of the dart. And it tapers back to a point. All right. And that arm may look a little funny, but it's foreshortened because the arm's kind of going away from us. That's my story. Okay, now let's try to write. Let's get our example here. I don't know what the scheme is for these numbers, but they're not in order, or they're not in any order that I can figure out. So I'll keep my pencil sharpened and put these numbers in. First one is 20. And then 1. And they all stay level. If you're looking at them, they don't like down here at the bottom, the numbers down here. You don't put them tangent to this line. They're all placed on a horizontal. Like this one is a 1, and this is an 18. Next one's 4, 13, man, those are small. If you're a new viewer, you may wonder, who is this Memphis character here, and why is he wearing the same shirt? Let's take a look. Actually, Memphis is me, and I basically wear the same outfit every day. I got my railroad hat, printed plaid shirt, gray beard, suspenders, and that is why we always see Memphis in these drawings. You thought it was going to be exciting, didn't you? So it's not exciting. It's just me. I'm like the opposite of exciting. You may wonder why would an old guy even be doing this? Obviously no Michelangelo. And the truth is, I always for years, probably since, I don't know, since I was a kid. I always like to get up in the morning and I'm kind of a morning person. So I like to get up in the morning when no one else is up and do something. And over the years, when I was in college, it was easy. I would get up and study because I'm dumb as a box of rocks. So I have to study a lot. But that was fine because, you know, sitting around drinking my coffee, eating a Pop-Tart, that's going to be up doing something anyway. Then I've written a couple of I ghost authored a little book for my mother. Written a couple of books myself. That were far from being good enough to be published. They were self-published. I went through a phase where I actually got up in the morning and studied math. Yes, math. Well, the problem with that is I'm not smart enough to really, to really get very far in math. You got to be pretty smart. And I've been trying to understand calculus for 20 years. And I've sure failed at that. And I went through a couple of years where I'd get up and study geography. And when I was writing my history book, I'd get up and study history. And then I studied talk about an eclectic mix. Reading about botany and then all that kind of stuff. For no good reason. But this is my little amateurish drawings are kind of fill in that gap. Oh, I went about back when I was doing my woodworking series. I would get up, same time, and it was the same thing. I would get, I'd come out here to the shop, and I would take the day's project and draw sketches of it and plans and all kinds of all kinds of plans and drawings and sketches, and sometimes I'd work on the drawings and stuff for 3 hours and end up only working in the shop on the project for a couple hours. My history book was called Gleaning Wisdom from History. You've probably seen those kind of books where they take famous people and the things they did and apply it to the real world. It was one of those. I had one publisher who liked the idea. He liked my writing style, but he thought some of my references were kind of obscure, and he said the whole book was too long. He told me to rewrite it. Well, I didn't, because it didn't mean that much to me. I don't want to give the impression that I'm featuring myself as some kind of a great author or something. As a matter of fact, you know, a lot of freshmen in college don't even have to take English. They just test out of it. But not me. I tested into remedial English, which I failed. Had to take it again. So, long story short, I didn't get out of English until I was a junior. Okay, I think I'm going to put in the numbers, and I don't think I'm going to outline this. I think I'm just going to color in the black, the red, and the green into the correct places. But first I'm going to put the numbers in, and I'm going to put them in black. Because otherwise you won't be able to see them. So small, it's so small that I'm just gonna color these in with ink. I'm going to go around here and mark. Oh, crap. I'm going to go around and mark. Every other one. Okay, that's going to be green. It's going to be green, 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 red, green, red, green, red, green, red, green, red, green. Another thing I did for a couple of years, maybe more than a couple, in the mornings when I was drinking my coffee, this is back when they first came out with computers in the early 80s. They had computers way before that, but I mean the personal computers. And they came out with, you know, the basic language. And I spent a lot of time. It was kind of creative. You know, I was writing computer programs in BASIC. I mean, not that you'd ever do anything with anything I did. Like I must have worked for a couple of months trying to come up with a program that would basically light up all the pixels on the screen. In some kind of order, so that it would produce, if you let it run long enough, like for an infinity, it would produce every single image that the number of pixels on the screen could produce. Every single image. Talk about a worthless program. And it couldn't just be random. You know, you couldn't, the rule was it had to start with one pixel down in the lower right hand corner, and then every possible pixel combination would systematically be lit up until, and it had to, at the end of the day, it would end once all the images were created. And I think there were like 512 pixels on this little tiny computer I had. Just 512. And so I was peeking and poking into those pixels. And a friend of mine who was working on his electrical engineering degree, kind of making fun of me, said you know, 500, or you know, 2 to the power of 512 is more, that number is larger than the total number of atomic particles in the universe. and that all I had to do was just systematically go around and randomly turn those pixels on and off, and that it would probably run for 100,000 years before I'd ever have any duplicates. Well, that's the first time I ever, I mean, that is true, but that wasn't the assignment. The assignment was to do a program that started from 0 and continued until all the pixels were lit up. Is anybody following this conversation? I doubt it. So my friend, I don't exactly remember, but he tired of the whole idea because he couldn't see the practicality of it. And of course there was no practicality to it. I think he started ghosting me. But anyway, what happened was, it came to me. The answer came to me when I realized, I was just turning the pixels on and off. So there were two states, on or off, yes or no. And that sounded a lot like binary numbers. So just like that, in a flash, I figured it out. All I had to do was put an algorithm that peeked and poked in all those pixels, and in binary, ones or zeros, and that's how I solved it. And I told my electrical engineer friend that I'd solved the problem, told him how I did it. As soon as I told him, it was obvious that it would work. He didn't even have to check it. But I don't think he was real impressed. I mean, why would you be impressed? You've just accomplished something that doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, you've just accomplished something that doesn't matter, and the solution was obvious. Well, if it's so obvious, how come you didn't tell me to do that? He went on to be an engineer at IBM, working on the operating system that IBM came up with that was going to compete against. I guess IBM got tired of paying Microsoft a royalty every time they put out a computer. So they were going to come up with their own operating system, and so they didn't have to pay Microsoft. Well, that one ended up going over like a lead balloon. I think that about shut IBM down, because the consumers were they want a standard operating procedure, a standard operating system. I mean, even the latest Apple products will run their versions of Microsoft, like Excel and that kind of stuff. Okay, if there's anybody still watching this, why don't you put it in the comments? I was looking at my results from yesterday's video, and it said the average person was watching for about 10 minutes. I realize that means that there's, some people watching for longer and other people, watching for shorter. Making long videos, it does, even though people really don't like long videos, and they tend to turn them off, or not even watching. In terms of runtime, in terms of total watch time, that goes up. If I make a 10-minute video, my average watch time is 2 minutes. But if I make a long video, my watch time's 10 minutes. So it all kind of works out. Not that it matters a whole lot. fact is, if I was depending on YouTube revenue, I'd be a hurting unit. I'll tell you that. And besides, if I was getting any YouTube revenue, this would seem like a job. And I'm not looking for a job. If I wanted a job, I could probably find one, huh? But I'll tell you what, I am, as I get older, I always wondered when I was a kid why these old farmers and stuff hired kids. And as I get older, I discovered why. Because kids can do things that adults can't do. Can climb and work in hot barns, putting in hay. I can't imagine. I think about some of those jobs I had when I was a kid. Mucking out stalls, cow stalls. I mean, that was, that'd kill me today. Or getting up in a hayloft. It's about, because you always put hay in when it's nice and hot out and dry in the sunshine, because you can't put the hay in, you know, if it's wet. So it was always hot putting hay in. And you get kids, they can go up in that hayloft, and I mean, I don't know about kids today. I don't know how tough kids are today. We were pretty tough back in the day. A lot skinnier too. No, that ain't the one. Yeah, back in the day we were tough. We you know, we had to dress out for PE every day. We played dodgeball. We played, which I don't even know if you're allowed to play anymore. We played dodgeball out on the baseball field, where you could get out by somebody throwing the ball at you. Okay. I think that's going to about do it. We fulfilled our assignment. Well, I guess that does it for this Memphis drawing. We figured out how to make an accurate looking dartboard. We got Memphis throwing a dart at it. Pretty nice little project, even if it was a little easy. Okay, let's look at tomorrow's prompt. It is factory. Hope to see you then.